Alright, it started. Guys, first of all, I was really missing my streams, and I'm so glad that finally I found some time to bring new TV shows and movies. And basically, our streams focuses on, every stream focuses on like specific TV show or two different TV shows, two different movies. Well, this time I actually wanna just, I wanna talk about movies and certain genres, like in general. So, and this time I just brought something from 2024, two movies. Actually, one of them is called Stream, and the other one is Time Cut. Time Cut and Stream movies, they are similar because both of movies have the murder, the horror genre, and the theme, the vibe, all of that makes actually, these two movies look so alike. They actually pretty similar. So today we're gonna just explore a little bit of this genre, horror, with hints of comedy and some sort of a drama, but just a little drama, because basically it's just full hell of cringe horror moments. Like, it's just basically it's about stream movie, because it starts with one family of American. They just checked in some hotel or something, like I don't know, like some place for people to get rest, to spend your time with family, something like this, and this place belonged to a woman, but she got murdered right before this family checked in. So I don't want to just show you who she was, because there was just some old woman, and she actually was the first victim of killers, because we didn't see anything before she got killed. So probably they did something to other people, but we didn't see that happen. So it's probably happened, but not in this movie, So basically they are like those people who killing everyone. They basically like serial killers, but we don't know exactly what their motives or what their intentions are, because it seems just a little bit random how they pick all the victims, how they pick who they want to kill, and everything like this, But what I really like about this movie, we have a lot of horror genre, we have a lot of this type of movies in 2024 specifically. It's actually tons of freaking horror genre in 2024, and I don't know even which one I want to watch because there's just too much, But when I was watching this stream movie, I knew that something there was gonna happen something I don't like, because I don't like some cringe murder or something, like people trying to avoid their death, but at the same time they do some stupid shit, like for example, this couple in the VIP room, they were actually trying to escape this woman in front of them, because she just appeared all of a sudden, out of nowhere. And she is one of those killers. Basically, every killer in this movie has a name, like player 1, player 2, player 3. So she is a player 3, and basically she never takes off this freaking mask, which actually makes her look creepy, because she actually looks so cringe in the first place. But we can see her outfit, which is also just some random outfit. I don't think that any killer who is trying to hide his identity, would ever wear something like this shit. But I think this movie is trying to focus more on some kind of game simulator. It's like they're trying to immerse people into a game, but they not specifically do that like for everyone, because for some people they actually play they play around them, trying to drag out that murder. But with other people, they just do that immediately, like for example, this room 309 was actually probably the most noisy room in this hotel. So, and this man, he's a father of the main character, who is Taylor. The main character is a woman, and she's basically has one little brother, and of course her parents checked in this hotel with her, and she's trying just to to make that people disturbing his sleep to stop doing that. And actually, when he got into this room, he found that there's just freaking freaking lesbian on the bed, do not care about anything, they're just having fun. But it's, of course, looks kind of cringe and embarrassing, because when you're watching something like this, you never expect to see this happen. But it just demonstrates how random this movie could be sometimes, because sometimes it's consistent with everything that happens, but sometimes it's actually going too far with all the twists and every action that taking place in this hotel. After Taylor's father got into that 309 or whatever room, he got bad again. So after he fell asleep, she and her, let's say, new friend, some French guys, they just got to know some French guys at this hotel, and they just got on the roof of this building just to spend some time to, I don't know, smoke, just they just actually they are staring at the sky and doing some kisses afterwards. And again, this movie is basically a mix of every other movie you watched, probably, like Scream, like, something like every horror movie has. This movie just mixing all that shit together, and it's actually kind of good. It's definitely not for everyone, specifically not for kids. It's not for probably people under 18, because it has a lot of different types of murder, like, really bloodshed. Sometimes it's actually just a lot of blood, a lot of cringe happening, and sometimes it's just too much, for young adults under 18, or for sure for kids. So this, like on the screen right now, these two people, they are like, froze in the middle of this in the middle of this corridor. They just froze, and that moment was freaking cringe. And it's scary. It's scary because I never know what to expect from that people, because they act so random, So this is actually what probably makes this movie a little bit different from what I've seen before, because we never got something balanced with with all the genres put together. Like, we can see there is like some fight happening. There is actually just two women fighting for the freaking life, and a lot of shit like this actually in this movie, because it's probably the main purpose it was made. It was made to entertain some certain audience. Like, that audience basically watch a lot of horror movies, but it's not like, it's trying to be everything. At the same time, it's trying to be not too much horror and not too much drama. It's like in the middle of that genre, like the mix of two of them. But basically, I don't know how to actually recommend you that movie, because it's just for really niche audience, like, for specific audience. So if you actually like some cringe with hints of you know, lesbian romance and a lot of bloodshed, like cringe situations, it's probably for you. But I'm so confident that the other movie, Time Cut, is basically made for everyone, because this movie is actually balanced so well, and it's not trying to be too much bloody. It's not trying to be you know, it's not trying to take every genre possible. It's just a good teenager, a good, like teenager drama, like for people probably under 18. It would be good for everyone, actually. But it has some age restrictions, age under 12 or something like this, so you're gonna just skip this movie if you're not old enough, So the main thing about this movie is time traveling, but it's not the only main focus. They actually travel through the different years, and this situation right now on the screen, it's happening in 2003, 21 years ago. That situation happened 20 years ago, and they actually travel to that point, like by using some shit like, time traveling machine or something like this, which again, it sounds kind of random, but it is what it is. It's just the idea behind this movie. They actually trying to tell us the story about two sisters, but one of the sisters, she is 20 years old or something like this, and she was born like in 2023, in 2020s, in like late 2020s, probably 2010 or something like this. And when she was born, her other sister, she was already dead, because in 2003 she was murdered by some serial killer whose name is a Slasher. And that Slasher, he's actually also traveling through different timelines, and it's kind of like, the time traveling works the same way it works in the Marvel comic universe. It's actually the same shit, because they are traveling in different timelines, and they are creating a new timeline every time they travel. So this is creates a totally new timeline. So wherever happened in that timeline never affects any of other timeline. So this is the main point of this time traveling. And this teenager on the screen, she is a Lucy, who is a main character, and she just got she got she got into 2003 by accident because she just spotted on this time traveling machine, and that was again so random. She just looked at some light, but she didn't have any idea what the hell that was. So basically, this situation is probably the most random shit in this movie, because I don't think that everyone would ever try to get to know something like some random machine, like in some random place like this, and try to like activate this shit by accident. It sounds really stupid, because nobody would ever try to activate some random shit just for the sake of interest. But after she activated it, it actually brought her to April 16, 2003. I know it doesn't do anything with the movie, but basically April 16 is the date of my birthday. I just, I was surprised how random that shit was, and how the hell it's the date of my birthday. Not 2003, of course, but April 16. I mean, like, you could choose every date on this planet, but you just chose my freaking birthday. So after she activated this shit, it brought her to 2003, and first thing she was trying to do in that timeline, she was actually, of course, she was trying to find out what just happened, because that was just super weird. But in this movie, they made your reaction and your adaptation to a new timeline, to a totally new life, where nobody knows her, because in this timeline he has no friends, he has no people he familiar with, like he has nobody, but they made her adaptation, her, how she settles all the things, that was super fast. And I don't know how real it looks, because usually we know that it takes a lot of time. It takes actually a while, after you got into totally different universe. First of all, it's shocking you to the point where you couldn't do anything, because it's just not normal, But they didn't try to focus on that shit, and they immediately just, put her in every situation to make this more entertaining. Like, she's actually trying to help people around, because she knows that a lot of bad situations happened in 2003. So she's trying to actually prevent some of those, and she's trying to actually just interrupt, she's trying to stop that killer from ever murdering, and she's trying to help her sister, because her sister in that timeline, she's still alive, but in this timeline, Lucy has not been born yet. This is the main point, because she will be born 20 years after this, or 20 years in 20 years in the other timeline, not in this timeline, because if your sister doesn't or will not die, basically she will never be born. This is the main point. Like, if your sister still alive, your parents will never want another kid. Your parents will never just, they will not gonna get any kid because they already have one. So this is the main point. Like, if she is alive, if your sister is alive, she will not exist, Lucy. But if her sister dies, she will be born, but 20 years after. So of course, this is like, lose to lose situation when you have no choice actually, because you have to choose between your sister and your life, but you basically know that, and she says a lot of things like her parents actually, they became different after her sister, disappeared from their lives, because after her sister got killed 20 years ago, her parents were already very old people, so they couldn't get another kid like naturally, you know what I mean? They couldn't get, her mother, she couldn't get pregnant anymore. So naturally, it's only possible, like, to get, like, I don't know what it's called actually, but you know what I mean. So she was born using that method. It's probably still her parents, because they are using the same DNA, they are using the same DNA as her parents have. So this is probably like, totally the same as she was born by her mother. I mean, like, if she was born by her mother, after she got pregnant, after her mother got pregnant by her father, this is like situation when, like, basically this is the situation basically that explains why they do not really, they didn't want any kid, because they were too old for having one, and they were trying to kind of, you know, make it easy after their daughter got killed. They were trying to make it easy to uh, get a new life, to start things over, to start something new. And they actually trying to, take care of everything Lucy does, because she's actually under that control, and her parents trying to control every step she does, but they're not happy with, decisions she does, because she actually kind of, she's just jealous because her sister was totally different, and her sister had totally different life when her parents actually were satisfied with everything she did, and they never tried to, they never tried to compromise her choices. Like, if she decided something, they would only, trying to help her. But with Lucy, it's totally different, because she is a newborn kid. She is kind of replaced for her sister dead, and she feels like she would be always like kind of replace, for her sister, because her sister just was treated completely different at that point when she was still alive. So this is like the main idea of this shit, because this movie, the time cut is basically is just for people who actually love some kind of drama. It has a lot of drama, actually, way more than stream movie. So while stream movie is basically horror, cringe, time cut is mostly drama, sometimes heartbreaking moments, and it suggests actually a lot of things to think about, because it's actually focusing on the main problems in families with two more childs. And when you actually not a single child in your family, when your parents have more kids than just one, this situation could be something you actually familiar with, because it's just happening in common. It's happening in families with two more kids. When you're getting jealous because your parents always they always just making you look like you're not that important. It's probably not even true, because they just trying to, prioritize everyone from they're trying to prioritize their kids based on of an age of every kid. Like, of course, if you the youngest one, you will be treated totally different because you're not just the same age. But sometimes it doesn't do anything with the age. I mean, like, you have to have a kind of, you know, you have to have that experience to understand what I'm talking about, because if you're a single child in your family, you would never understand what I'm talking about. So this is the main focus. I think this is just even more important than time traveling, because time traveling is just the way they telling us that story, but it's not the main thing in this movie, even though it's called actually time cut. It's mostly about the like two sisters from different generations, because 20 years ago there was completely different generation with totally different values, and after her sister Lucy, this girl on the screen, Lucy, found that, you know, she actually feels more comfortable in that timeline 20 years ago. She feels more comfortable in that 2003 than 2024, because with your sister she feels like, you know, there is nobody who would, you know, every time just, you know, compare you to your sister, because when your sister's still alive in that timeline, they could be together and nobody would ever compare them because she's still alive. This is the main point. Like, they could coexist, you know, in that timeline in 2003. And they actually, after they spent a lot of time together and prevented all the kills, prevented all the murders, not all of them, they couldn't prevent 2 murders of 2 of their friends. But after that situation, they actually prevented every murder that should have happened, actually, because it had happened in 2003, but in different timeline, you know. But after this, Lucy traveled to 2003. It created a new timeline where she prevented that murder. So this is how it works. And after they managed to save almost everyone, you know, basically they actually saved this young teenager whose name is Emmy, but they didn't manage to save, like, this teenager on the screen, like, you know, in this mall. They were actually trying to prevent that murder, but they didn't do that because of the stupid I mean, like, basically because this is the stupidest situation, and probably it makes sense, because if they prevented every murder in this movie, it would have been just too much, it would have been just looked it would have been looked like totally not real, like you couldn't save everyone. So this is like why they made they actually made only two different friends. They saved them, and this Amy was one of those friends they saved. And there is another situation in this movie when they actually were trying to focus on how her sister Summer, this is her name, how she was ignoring everyone around because she was so like, I don't know, she was so focused on herself, so she couldn't actually she couldn't be more generous because she was only focusing on herself. But after she found out that she's gonna get killed, she was trying to make it different. And at this point, she got to know that she's gonna die. So there is no point to, hesitate there's no point to hesitate. What are you gonna say someone? What are you gonna do? And she was actually she was trying to come out as a lesbian, and she and her friend Amy, they were lesbians, but they never came out as lesbians, so they were hiding that secret. And after she found out that she's gonna die, she actually managed to she managed to make things better, because there is nothing to hide anymore. After you found out that you're gonna die, you will do whatever it takes, to keep that people you love, to keep those, and she was actually she was trying to probably like she was trying to come out in first place. She was trying to come out as a lesbian, and then she was trying to make Amy, her friend, feel better, because it's totally different thing when you are not confident with who you are, when you're trying to hide your true identity, when you're hiding your preferences in relationship, when you're trying to drag it out as long as possible, when you're trying to escape that situation, when you're coming out as a totally different person, because after that you're not gonna be the same anymore, and nobody would treat you the same way, because they know that at this point it's just not you anymore. It's just totally different person, because it's just how it works. And so she knew that she's gonna die, and she said everything she wanted. And after this point, you know, her friends just saved her life. So she didn't die in this timeline, but she did in different one. So there is like two more timelines created, and in this main timeline, we can see that this person, this man, basically he is a killer. But what makes it even more interesting that he is not just a random person who is trying to kill everyone around. He's actually the same kid. He's the same student from the same school Amy, Summer, and this Lucy attended. He is the student from the same school, but he was from the different timeline. This is why he looks older. Like he looks basically just 10 years older than everyone in that school, but his younger version is still in that school, and his younger version is basically some typical loser, like some nerd who's basically getting bullied, who's basically just someone everyone tries to make jokes of him, and everyone tries to bully him. So this is why he actually tries to revenge on those things 20 years ago. 20 years later, he's revenging, and he's trying to punish everyone who bullied him 20 years ago. This is why his older version is totally different person in terms of the how he acts, how he speaks. He looks the same. He looks almost like him. They look alike, but they're not the same persons, because they actually experience different shit. And that older version, he got treated like total shit, and he was saying that it happened to him because he was in different timeline, but it didn't happen to his younger version, because basically this girl Lucy, she prevented all those situations happen to his older version. So she helped this she helped his youngest version to avoid all those situations. This is why he never experienced something like this person did. But of course, he was getting bullied like shit. But just some situations didn't happen for him, because some situations just got prevented again, because someone just interrupted all of those situations to happen. So at this point, we can see that this youngest the youngest version of this student, his name is Quinn. This is actually his name, Quinn. Like he's trying to give a letter to this Summer, and he was actually in love with her, but he's like secretly trying to admire her, but he never expressed any feelings towards her, and he never actually exposed himself, like never made him vulnerable, like he was basically hiding everything. And at this point, like, this letter makes a lot of sense, because this letter is something that Lucy will find 20 years later. And this letter is actually, it happened twice in two different timelines. Like in one timeline, Lucy found those things, belonged to her sister. She found every like everything that belonged to her sister, and one of those things was actually this letter. So this is actually makes a lot of sense, because later, at some point, this letter actually played a huge role in all the scripts, and it played a lot of it's just, at some point, if you're gonna watch this movie, you're gonna find out what's actually happened, because this is like the main one of the most important things. So actually, this time traveling and all the situations happening 20 years ago and 20 years later, they are the same, but in one timeline we can see them get stopped, we can see them get prevented or almost prevented. But we know that there are some timelines when they already happened, so we can see basically 2, 3, probably 4 different timelines, but the main focus on the main timeline, this one in 2003. And so basically, after everything happened and this killer got killed, Lucy actually decided to stay in that timeline in 2003, because she was never happy, she was never happy like that, because it was the main, like, the most probably like the best thing happened to her, to meet her sister, and she was actually so happy, so she decided to stay in that timeline in 2003. And this is why this movie, this is how this movie ends. This is the last minute of the movie, that they were still together, they reunited in that timeline. And it looks like we're gonna get one more one more parts of this movie, probably sequel or even more, but I don't know exactly. Nobody knows at this point. We do not have any idea about if it's gonna happen or not, because it's just part one, and it was released actually like less than a month ago. Probably it was released a couple of weeks ago, so it's like still fresh, it's still airing, it's still available, like I'm gonna say some more things about this Dream movie, basically because I probably missed some important things about this stream movie. It's like, when you're trying to prepare your stream, like, that you're gonna say this thing, you're gonna say this, you're gonna say this, but finally when you got on the stream, you're like, oh my god, you're just trying to improvise, because it's just not for me to prepare, to plan something before, and I'm actually trying to improvise, because I actually I do remember a lot of things from this movie, but I forgot like more than I remember. This is like probably the main problem with my with what I'm doing, because this is like, this is not about me trying to promote something. This is the only interest I have in this streams is practicing my content, creating my content, and practicing my skills, so I can tell more stories from different series, from different TV shows. But sometimes when you do not know what to say, it makes you feel like you totally, or just, it makes you feel like shit, you're not gonna say anything because you just do not have idea what to say. So this is why I sometimes I actually just I think too much about what to say, because I just cannot just make things up. This is how it happened in movie or in TV show. So it could be the same, or it will not make any sense. Just, if I make something up, like if I make something up that never happened in the movie, it would be just totally pointless to watch, because we are trying to make some different content, but we always trying to only reflect on everything that happened in the movie or in a TV show. Probably this is like the most difficult thing for me, to improvise. I mean, like, okay, so what I was going to say, like, about this stream movie, that was actually about this Taylor, the main character, who is basically at this point when they just checked in this hotel, she was actually before this situation, she was caught by police, and she was got she was got brought to her home. And after this situation, there was just some fighting with her parents, and she actually she was trying to she was trying to make it look like she regrets something, like but after this situation, they decided that they needed some rest. So this is basically why they checked into this hotel. They they left their house for weekend or something. This is like where all this shit happened. They were trying to make things better for the whole family. They were trying to get some rest, and smooth everything up, like and settle down some tension. But it only got worse, of course. When they got this hotel, it only got even more worse, because when they were home, there was no killer, nobody was there. So this is like why this is like why they should just they just should stay at home forever. They would never go anywhere, and this shit would have never happened. And as well as anyone else in this hotel probably would never leave. Would never just got this fucking hotel, because this was the last freaking moment for their lives. Like, this is the main like the main and the last moment for their lives. And this is probably the most cringe moment of their lives, because this is actually the most random and the cringiest thing to happen to anyone. Like, seeing these two different persons wearing this cringe outfits, it's probably the weirdest situation in this movie. And they always trying to make it feel like again, like you're in some type of video game, or you're in some type of you're kind of playing with them, like, and they playing around you. But all of a sudden they just they just pulling out some knife or something, like other shit, and they trying to kill you. This is how it works. And they actually calling it like they play a game. This is why it's called Stream. This movie basically kind of simulator of a video game with a real person in the center, and everyone just gets killed, but the main person, the main character, she's trying to survive, and of course she will survive because this Taylor is the main character, so she has to survive because if she dies, there will be no other movie, there would be no sequel, and there would be no part 2 of this movie. But basically, there were a lot of situations when she just could have got killed, probably the most stupid thing that happened to her that at this point she was thinking that she's trying to save her brother, and she killed someone, but she didn't even notice that she just killed her father. And that was the stupidest moment, probably, because if she just paid a little bit attention, that would never happen. Of course she was thinking that this was the killer, but she killed by accident her own father. And after this shit, she killed the main person who was behind all the murders, who was behind all the all the games, all those situations. This person on the screen is basically the main villain of this movie, basically, who is just some weirdo, some freaking psycho, and he has no intention. This is the stupidest shit, that he has no intention. Like, he basically explains like he's trying to make some fun for other people to watch, because they are recording every kill, every murder, every situation in this hotel, and they trying to create some type of they trying to create some content for those for other people, because they actually they just demonstrating everything to the audience. But we never found out what that audience was, because they didn't explain actually who they were demonstrating that shit to, who they were showing that shit to. And so basically this is why it needs one more parts. It needs a sequel to explain more about like how it works, because basically like I know everything in time cut movie, and I know how everything works. There is no a single thing that I couldn't explain you, because everything is just easy to understand, and we know pretty well how it works. But in this stream movie, it's totally crazy to it's just so unknown. Who are those people who watching all this shit, because they record everything for someone, but we do not know for whom they recording it. And of course this is like a little room for part two to happen, because we have pretty much to wait for. We have pretty much interesting, we have the main character, pretty interesting. She's just kind of good actress, probably the best actress from this movie, basically, and I think that they might have thought to create a new like part of this movie, but we will see if that happens. I think so. This could be 2025. I see that happens in 2025. So, but as of now, that was everything I wanted to go through. And both of movies, they are available right now. You can see the titles on the title of this stream, and you can find them easily because they are both American made movies, so they are in English, available, easy to find, and good, really good to spend your time, to spend your weekend, probably for something like this. So thank you for watching. If you actually have some questions, just leave a comment and I will reply, if you have a real question relating to the movie, not to any other shit, I will help you, if I can. Thank you for watching, guys. See you later. Thank you. Bye.